ptadventures.com, and today we're going to be talking about travel physical therapy stipends, how they work, how you qualify, and what exactly they cover. So as a traveler, when you take a travel therapy contract, part of your income will be in your hourly wage, which is generally a bit lower. We'll talk about that at another time when we talk about negotiating contracts and how the pay is broken down. We're going to do that in a separate video. But anyways, part of your income will come as regular wages, taxable, and then a big chunk of it is going to come in tax-free stipends. So how does this work and what do they cover? First off, the stipend is, the whole point of it is to help you recoup some of the cost of having duplicate expenses. And what that means is that there's an expectation for you to qualify for these stipends that you have a home base, a tax home in another location where you are currently not living. So what does that mean? That means, yes, you have to maintain rent or mortgage somewhere back in your home state, and that needs to be fairly consistent throughout the whole time of your career. It can bounce around a little bit, obviously, if you're changing places where you're staying, but it needs to be ideally in the same tax location, so the same state, even better if it's the same town and county. So how to maintain that tax home? You have to pay fair market value for housing in that area. So yes, you are going to have housing that you're paying on contract, and you're going to have housing that you're paying for back home where you're not currently at. That's kind of the deal with qualifying for a stipend. This is not a gift. This is the government saying, hey, you're working in a situation away from home that you can't commute to and from, so we're helping you out by giving you this tax break. So part of the deal to qualify is you have to pay rent back home. If you're staying with mom and dad, that's totally fine, but you need to have a lease agreement. You need to be paying them rent. Ideally, what we did is we stayed with a friend, and we went on Craigslist and found the fair market value for renting a room in a house in our town, and that's what we paid them every month. And the savings that we had just in taxes alone more than covers that difference. It's a little bit hard to stomach at first when you're new to travel, and then you look at your yearly income and you're just like, holy cow, I can't believe this is real. It's really, really beneficial. So duplicate expenses, you got to have housing back home. You need to have your car registered back home. We support a church. You need to be registered to vote. These sort of things linking you back to that tax home. There is a provision. We don't know anyone that's been audited for this, but if you talk to the traveltax.com folks, you can have issues if it looks like you abandoned your tax home. So you need to come back to it X number of days a year. I believe it's 45 or 60. Actually, we should check with the travel tax folks on those details. But anyways, you need to be making sure that you're going back home to cover these certain things. So these stipends that you're going to be getting, they are specifically listed as meals and incidentals and housing. And so obviously the goal is that they're going to cover meals, incidental expenses while you're out traveling, and then your housing. And these numbers are not arbitrary. So a lot of folks, they will argue with a recruiter or recruiting agency saying, oh, they're lowballing me on my stipends or on my wages or whatever. But they're limited in what they can possibly provide. They're limited by a few different things. One, there's the bill rate that your clinic is going to pay just for you to be there. And that's the lump sum that the stipends come out of, that your wages come out of. And there's a good chance, and where your recruiting agency's income comes out of. And there's a good chance that it might just not be enough for you to get this huge tax-free stipend. The other thing that limits it is the government's rate, and that is based on location. So here in the Bay Area, or here in Redwoods, we have a really, really high cost of living. So our stipend limit set by the government on the gsa.gov site is more than I probably would ever make, just in regular wages. And so obviously my company, my clinic, is not going to pay the astronomical amount for it all to be tax-free plus income. So what happens is I get a portion of that my company is able to, kind of divvy out. So what it turns into is oftentimes around half of your income ends up being tax-free. And this is, clearly a huge benefit. So, okay guys, so that should pretty much cover everything there is about tax-free stipends with the travel therapy contracts. If you guys have any other questions, you're good. Feel free to reach out and shoot us a message, ptadventures.com. I'm on Instagram, sstockpt. My wife's on Instagram as well, estockpt. Comment below, shoot us an email. If there's any other questions, any other videos you want us to make, let us know. Thanks a lot, guys.